Welcome to this new deep dive. Think about those hurts that, really stay with you. The ones that don't leave visible scars but just feel incredibly heavy, like an invisible weight you're carrying around. These emotional wounds, often caused by someone who might not even be in your life anymore, or maybe never really got the impact they had, they can leave you wondering, how do I actually move past this? How do I heal when something inside feels, well, broken?
That's such a deeply human question, isn't it? It really resonates with so many people. And today we're going to explore the insights of Carl Jung. He was uh, really a groundbreaking figure in psychology. We want to find a new perspective on maybe transforming that pain, looking at how his ideas can guide us toward growth, maybe deeper self-knowledge, and hopefully a sense of emotional freedom.
Right. It's definitely not about a quick fix, is it? It sounds more like a journey of understanding.
Exactly. Yeah, this isn't about just forgetting or trying to speed through it. Not at all. It's more about a commitment to really deep understanding, integrating these experiences into our lives and really achieving genuine healing. Like Jung's work suggests, sometimes the very things that have marked us, they can become the source of profound transformation, but only when we give them new meaning.
Okay, so let's start by really trying to understand these emotional wounds. It's more than just the event itself, right? You're saying it's about the personal meaning we attach to what happened.
Precisely. And these wounds, they aren't a sign of weakness. Not at all. They are just an inherent part of the human experience. When we experience hurt, maybe it's betrayal, abandonment, manipulation, or even just deep disappointment, it's not only the immediate pain we feel, it can stir up old unresolved stuff, shatter our beliefs about the future, and really shake our sense of who we even are.
And this is where Jung's concept of the shadow comes in. How does that help us understand this kind of emotional pain?
Well, when we're hurt, it often activates these older wounds and hidden memories that live in what Jung called the shadow. This is the part of ourselves that holds everything. We kind of rather not look at our vulnerabilities, maybe denied desires, unacknowledged fears, but it still has this powerful, often unseen influence on our lives and how we react to things.
So if we try to ignore these deeper aspects, these shadow parts, we might actually just make the suffering last longer.
That's a really key Jungian insight, yes. He believed that a lot of our suffering actually comes from resisting this necessary self-reflection. When someone hurts us, our focus naturally goes outward, right, to the person who caused the pain. But Jung encourages us to also look inward, at those parts of ourselves that feel maybe unheard, forgotten, rejected, or wounded, parts that are now basically crying out for our attention.
Ah, okay. So the pain we feel isn't just something to push away. It could actually be a message from these unacknowledged parts of ourselves.
Exactly. And understanding this doesn't excuse what anyone else did, of course,
Okay.
but it marks a really critical turning point in our own healing journey. As Jung famously put it, what is not made conscious manifests in life as destiny.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. If we don't become aware of what someone else triggered inside us, those like pre-existing wounds, are we likely to just keep seeing similar patterns repeating in our relationships?
Precisely. Yeah, we might meet different people, find ourselves in different situations, but that underlying unaddressed wound, it will tend to attract similar experiences. That is, until we bring it into our conscious awareness and actively work to heal it. So healing isn't really about trying to forget what happened. It's more about finding the courage to acknowledge and embrace that pain so it doesn't dictate our future anymore.
Now, what about why some hurts feel so much deeper, so much more lasting than others? Why do certain people's actions just hit us so hard?
Yeah, that often connects to what Jung described as the unconscious projection of archetypes onto that person. Archetypes, in Jung's view, are these universal patterns and images that exist in our collective unconscious. Think of them as fundamental human blueprints like, the lover, the protector, the savior, but also the traitor, the wise person. We instinctively recognize these patterns in others, often without even realizing we're doing it.
So when someone in our lives unknowingly activates one of these really powerful archetypes within us,
We tend to overlay them with a meaning that comes more from our own psyche, our own stuff, rather than seeing them clearly as they truly are. We project our hopes, our fears, sometimes a very idealized image onto them. This can create a really intense attachment, and then a feeling of irreplaceable loss when the connection ends, even if objectively the person didn't really live up to that projection we put on them.
the emotional bond we created inside felt incredibly real, even if it wasn't fully grounded in their reality.
Okay, so the healing process involves
Yeah,
what?
pulling back that projection.
Exactly. It's about taking back that idealized image, starting to see the other person as Well, a complex and flawed human being, just like we are. And maybe even more importantly, it involves recognizing those parts within ourselves that we're looking for external validation or fulfillment, trying to fill some kind of internal void.
Jung had that quote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." How does that tie into moving past hurt?
Well, lingering pain, you know, persistent resentment, these feelings are often signals. Signals that something inside us remains unseen, unacknowledged. The way forward isn't about just trying to focus on the positive or wishing the past away. It's about integrating the entire experience, even the painful bits, into our personal story. Not as a wound that defines us forever, but maybe as a marker on our journey of growth.
And that requires asking ourselves some pretty tough questions, doesn't it?
Absolutely. We have to be willing to dig into those deep, sometimes uncomfortable, but ultimately really liberating questions. What part of me felt truly broken or wounded by this? What unmet need did this person seem to fill, even just for a little while? And maybe the hardest one, what uncomfortable truth about myself did I actually learn through this, however painful it was?
You've mentioned the shadow a few times. Let's really dig into that now. How does this idea of unseen pain affect our relationships and why we react so strongly sometimes?
Right. So Jung saw the shadow as holding all those parts of ourselves that we reject or deny, or maybe just haven't acknowledged yet. And it's important to remember this isn't just about negative traits or flaws. It can also include legitimate needs we have, desires we've pushed down, fears we haven't integrated, basically essential parts of who we are that we've often shoved out of conscious awareness, maybe because of fear or shame or past hurts.
And so the really deep pain we feel from someone else often reflects something going on in our own shadow.
Precisely. Often, the most intense pain we feel from another person isn't just because of what they did, but because they inadvertently mirror or trigger aspects of our own shadow. That person might have hurt us directly, sure, but they also likely poked at pre-existing wounds. Things related to feeling not good enough, unseen, unvalued, or maybe that deep need to earn love or to put up with things we shouldn't just to avoid being abandoned.
So it's like this person becomes a mirror in a way, reflecting these hidden parts back at us.
Exactly like a mirror. And yeah, looking in that mirror can be really painful, but it also offers this incredible opportunity for profound transformation. If we can bravely face what got stirred up inside us during that relationship, we can start to recognize ourselves with more compassion. We begin to not just our pain, but also our own inherent dignity, our value, our capacity for love, even if that love was maybe misdirected or wasn't returned in that situation.
That really helps clarify why some hurts feel so incredibly personal and unique. It's because that person, maybe totally unconsciously, embodied a specific archetype for us, and that reactivated a whole internal story.
Exactly right. We projected our expectations, our longings, our past wounds, maybe even our fantasies onto them. And while it can be incredibly painful to see that, it wasn't necessarily a mistake on our part. It was an opportunity, maybe a very painful one, to witness ourselves in moments of deep vulnerability, deep longing, deep heartbreak. In that broken mirror, if we're willing to look honestly, without judging ourselves, we can find the pieces we need to rebuild ourselves, to become more free, more conscious, more authentically us. The shadow holds uncomfortable truths, sure, but it also holds the key to our real liberation.
So integrating these denied parts of ourselves, bringing them into the light is what allows us to break free from those repeating painful relationship patterns.
Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, healing isn't about trying to erase what happened or pretending it didn't hurt.
Mhm.
It's about stopping that unconscious need for the past to have been different. It's about embracing all parts of ourselves, even the ones we learn to hide away in the shadows.
Moving past someone who's affected us so deeply, it sounds like a really significant emotional process. You mentioned grief earlier, and that seems pretty central here.
Yes, absolutely. Overcoming the impact of someone isn't just, deciding consciously to let go. It's a deep, often complex emotional process of grieving. We're not just mourning the loss of that specific person, but also everything they represented in our lives, maybe unfulfilled dreams, unmet expectations, even parts of ourselves that we kind of lost or invested in that connection.
And Jung used that powerful metaphor, inner alchemy, to describe this turning suffering into wisdom, right?
Exactly. Like the alchemist trying to turn lead into gold. We too can transform our suffering into something valuable, into wisdom. But this change doesn't happen by trying to dodge the pain. It happens when we actually allow ourselves to feel it fully, to face it head on, and to really listen to what it might be trying to teach us. In fact, suffering can sometimes deepen if we resist giving space to those difficult emotions.
So the pain itself might be trying to tell us something important.
Absolutely. It might be signaling unmet needs, maybe for healthier boundaries, or perhaps unhealed childhood wounds that got reactivated, or even a deep longing for unconditional love and acceptance. Consciously grieving these losses can actually lead us to a place of greater self-sufficiency. We start learning how to provide for ourselves the very things we were desperately hoping to get from the other person.
It definitely doesn't sound like a straight line, this grieving
Oh,
process.
not at all. It's rarely quick, rarely neat and tidy. Jung saw alchemy as such a perfect metaphor for this kind of inner transformation, where the pain, the lead, when truly worked through and integrated, ultimately becomes our inner gold. This isn't about bottling up feelings or ignoring what's going on inside. It's about rebuilding ourselves from a more authentic, more resilient place by navigating through the sadness, the anger, maybe even the guilt, and eventually arriving at a place of acceptance.
It really does seem like the only way out is, well, through it.
Precisely. We need to allow ourselves to fully experience our feelings, trusting that they actually serve a purpose. Sadness can teach us about our vulnerability and what we truly value. Anger can reveal our boundaries and our inner strength. Even guilt, when we look at it honestly, can prompt valuable self-reflection and accountability. Ultimately, what once felt like this unbearable burden can transform into a profound source of wisdom. And that challenging healing process, it really can yield our own inner gold.
This whole process we've been talking about, it seems to be leading somewhere, like towards a deeper, more whole understanding of ourselves.
Exactly. Jung called this lifelong journey individuation, the process of becoming our true, whole selves by integrating all aspects of our being. And that includes those hidden or rejected parts, the shadow stuff we've been discussing. Emotional crises, especially the ones coming from wounds around love and attachment, can actually serve as really powerful gateways for this kind of profound transformation.
So the pain we experience can actually shine a light on what's been lying hidden or dormant inside us.
Absolutely. The pain from a significant relationship often confronts us with the most vulnerable parts of our psyche. It shows us not only what we might feel is lacking on the outside, but also what needs to be brought into the light within ourselves. Those parts we've locked away, maybe parts we fear or feel ashamed of. So healing, from a Jungian viewpoint, isn't about trying to erase the past. It's about reintegrating it into who we are now, acknowledging the event, the pain it caused, and the ways it changed us. That ultimately leads to a more complete, more integrated sense of self. And importantly, this isn't because the other person made us grow, but because we consciously chose to confront the pain and learn from it.
It sounds like a continuous journey, really. This path of individuation isn't something you just finish.
It is indeed a lifelong process. It's about embracing all facets of ourselves, transforming the weight of the past into usable wisdom, and freeing ourselves from its unconscious grip. Each wound we experience actually offers a unique opportunity for more individuation. It involves consciously understanding what that person represented for us, the projections we put on them, the expectations we had, often unconsciously. This awareness lets us integrate parts of ourselves that were previously trapped or unseen. This kind of dance between our conscious awareness and our shadow is what lets us move forward without the past constantly dictating our future choices.
So ultimately, moving past someone isn't about forgetting them or pretending it didn't happen, but about carefully weaving that experience into the ongoing story of our life.
Precisely. It's about fully recognizing the pain, yes, but also acknowledging the transformation it sparked within us and embracing the deeper self-knowledge that came from it. Ultimately, this whole journey leads to a greater and hopefully more lasting sense of inner freedom.
But what if it's still just incredible?
Exactly. Overcoming emotional hurt isn't about trying to switch off feelings altogether. It's more about giving the pain its rightful place within us without letting it completely take over our lives. It involves approaching that pain with compassionate self-understanding and acceptance, really recognizing the opportunity for healing and fuller self-integration that lies within the wound itself. Patience and deep self-love are just paramount during this time. Some connections, especially the really significant ones, they just naturally require more time and care to process. And that fits perfectly with Jung's view of the soul's natural healing pace, working through pain and integrating it.
And if someone finds they're still thinking about that person a lot, still preoccupied,
Instead of getting frustrated with yourself, like, why am I still thinking about them? Try gently reframing the question. Ask yourself something like, what part of me is still, maybe unconsciously, expecting something from them?
hmm,
Then, try to give that waiting part inside you a voice. Listen to what it truly longs for. Maybe it's acknowledgement, understanding, maybe just to be seen. And crucially, offer that part of yourself your own love and deep understanding. That act of inner compassion, turning towards that hurting part, can be a really powerful key to unlocking deeper healing and self-understanding.
It really does keep coming back to the importance of looking inward, doesn't it?
It really does. Jung's profound teachings remind us that the soul has its own mysterious, sometimes surprising, ways of healing. Sometimes what feels like an unbearable wound can actually become a kind of portal, opening us up to entirely new beginnings and possibilities within ourselves that we never expected. And the key to unlocking that profound transformation, ultimately, it lies within the pain itself. That key is in your hands. And the courageous journey toward your truest self, well, it has already begun.
And you, have you already started down that path? Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive today. If you found these insights helpful and maybe want to explore more about Jungian psychology and personal growth, please do subscribe to the channel Jung and You Psychology for Change. That way you won't miss anything. See you in the next episode.